No, Mistress America. You've made two of my favourite films of the year so far, with While We're Young and this one. What links the two, if anything?
I guess me. I don't know. Since I've been doing press for Mistress America, people have drawn comparisons between the two movies, understandably. But I kind of, they all feel so different to me, and so, I'm always sort of just focused on that particular movie that I don't even really think about the relationship between them.
Mm-hmm. Now, this one, one of the differences I noticed is obviously this one focuses on a female relationship and a friendship and / a sibling relationship as well. How do you approach writing that?
Well, I think, the movie really kind of came out of the Brooke character. I mean, we had been writing something different, and Greta started sort of playing this part in a way as we were writing it, and it was so entertaining to us that we kind of came up with a whole movie, sort of for her, and I think that sort of notion of about to become step siblings, it's like this shotgun sibling relationship. It's like it's something totally, and when it happens later in your life, because you have a college age girl whose mom's getting remarried, and and Greta's approaching 30, and so in some ways at that point you're kind of less, when you're younger and you're kind of thrown together, you kind of have no choice. Here it's almost like you have a choice to be siblings, and that was interesting to us.
We meet Brooke at an interesting point. Do you think she needs, or she's looking for a character like Tracy to enter her life and kind of reconnect with her youth?
Well, I think in some ways, the way the movie's structured, I think Tracy's looking for someone like Brooke. I think she's looking for inspiration. She's in come to New York and come to college and not having the kind of sort of fantasy that she wants, and in the fantasy, in some ways, I think feels available in Brooke. I mean, as the movie goes, we see it's more complicated than that. I think in some ways by the end of the movie, maybe Brooke discovers that she needed Tracy, but that might be less apparent to her from the beginning.
There's a great line in the film where Brooke says she lives in Times Square, and it's just as a matter of fact thing. Obviously, New York plays an important part in the film. How important is it to you, and what is it about the city that you love so much?
Well, I grew up there, so I know it very well, and I have a lot of history there, just personal history, and obviously the city, as a kind of location in movies is got is iconic. So but I come at it really from I like shooting on streets that I have walked on all my life, and I have memories of, and I think it just sort of provides a kind of meaning for me, that whether or not that's actually apparent in the movie or not isn't even that important. I think it's just sort of puts me in a kind of the right headspace, and with this movie too, I think Brooke in some ways was this like her approach to New York is almost kind of timeless in a way. It's like, somebody asked me, like, why doesn't she live in Brooklyn? Because, don't all the cool people live in Brooklyn now? And I was like, well, but Brooke doesn't know that. She thinks Times Square is the, the center. And that was funny to us. And so, I think, and it also helped provide locations that I wouldn't necessarily put into a movie.
I think the notion of what cool people do is quite interesting, and something that I think you address in this and in your earlier films.
Right.
Social media is one aspect of that. What's your personal take on it? Because the characters in this are quite withering about social media.
Well, Brooke, we always thought would be funny is that she's, that she knows she's supposed to use it, but again, like living in Times Square, she has no actual sense of how to really use it, and so. But she's always trying to stay current, and that again was a kind of funny character thing, and probably to some degree I relate with that because I don't do it either. So I'm sort of, but I know, obviously I'm aware of its significance in the culture right now. So, I guess it was in a way, writing that through Brooke was a way for me to work out my own kind of, awkward relationship with it.
So how would you react if someone decided to take a picture of a meal that they're having with you in front of you and post it on Instagram?
If somebody what? Say that again.
Took a picture of a meal that they're having and posted it on Instagram.
Oh, put it on Instagram. I mean, you know, I guess it depends what the meal looks like. You know, if it was a pretty picture of pasta, you know, I've taken pictures of my food. I've just sent it to one individual.
Makes sense. And finally, just the casting of Tracy, which is obviously an important character in the film. You cast a relative unknown at the time. What was the thinking behind that?
Really, it's getting the right person, you know. And Lola auditioned. We auditioned a lot of people, and she auditioned many times and came back many times, and she and Greta read together, and they just had a kind of great energy and you know, played off each other really well. It was and you know, made me laugh, and that you know, and she really just won the part.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey!